What's going on, Tatiana? I wish I could explain this better, but actually, what I mean to say is I messed up on the audio, so I got to do a voiceover. But anyway, the colors you will be using is dark blue, light blue, yellow, white, and black. So I'm actually explaining to you the type of paint I'm using. That's just a very large quart uh, size bottle of paint because I paint a lot more than you. Okay, I got white the same way, the same size. All right, now I'm explaining the brushes you'll need. I got the cheapest brushes you can get from the hardware store. Sometimes they come 20 in a pack of 1 inch and 2 inch painter's brushes. Okay, one makeup brush you get from the ladies makeup section at Walmart. It's a mop brush. It's extremely soft, used perfectly for blending. Then you need a script liner brush. You might have to get that at the art store. A very skinny brush. All right. And then you're going to need a spray bottle. So get the spray bottle, um, a mister bottle or whatever. You don't have to get one so large like I have. All right. And then once again, I'm explaining to you the size of the brush. And all you do is mist. Well, I got the tape there. I got the tape surrounded by the whole canvas. Then I got 2 inch tape a third of the way up. And then I'm using the black paint. I'm painting the bottom third, which is the larger half, all black. Once you paint it black, then you guys can have your, I don't know, wine and crackers or whatever you're doing. But anyway, you paint the whole bottom and then you just let it dry. All right. Now, one thing that's very important, okay, once the paint is dry, all right, remove the tape. When the paint is dry, remove the tape going across the canvas. You're going to replace the tape covering where the black ends and the white begins because you want a strong horizontal border. So that's what I did not know in the video, but I did explain it when I came back. I just did not remember to take the tape off, but it's extremely important. Once the paint dries, um, take the tape off, and then you could probably use that same tape, and you just cover up the edge, the black edge, because then I'm about to do the clouds. So I'm explaining to you how I clean off the brush. I got actually I have a rag, but you can use paper towel or whatnot. You put it in some water, get yourself a bucket of water, put the brush in the water, um, get the paint out of it, rub it on the bottom or something like that. You just get the paint out of it. Then you just dry it off real quick. And that's just what I'm showing you. All right. And I believe I'm going to move that camera so you get a better shot of what the sky is going to look like. Or I'm going to explain what I just did, and I'm going to stop the tape and come back. But when I stop the tape, I'm going to realize that I made that mistake. No, I'm not. I'm going to continue through the whole cloud process. And then I'm going to explain the folly I just did. But you can see the tape just there. I should have removed the tape, and I didn't. So that was my bad. So when I put that blue paint on there, I realized my error when I shut the tape off, and I straightened it out. So I just added more black to where the blue sky ended, and so everything was still good. I still salvaged it. Okay, the video is going in and out because it's trying to focus on mostly white, and you see the small movements. That's the camera actually tracking the movement. Okay, so it's actually trying to follow the object. So it does it a little bit, little tracking. But when you get a mostly white surface is trying to look at, that's why it blurs, because it's trying to focus in on something. It's trying to focus in on white, which any camera will fail miserably, especially when you have it on autofocus. Okay, but as you see, I'm doing the 2 spritzes of water. I'm gonna take the brush. I'm swiping left and right to even out the water that I did spray on there. Okay, which helps prolong the acrylic paint for blending, and you'll see after a while. As you can see, I got some extremely baby bluish, blue-green, light blue craft paint, and I'm gonna use that first. After I use that craft paint, I'm gonna use some dark blue craft paint and do the same swipe method that you'll soon see in a few seconds. Alright, so that's what I'm actually explaining. As you can see, I only got the smallest amount on the one side of the brush. It's just a swiping motion. Left and right, up and down, it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to create interesting little pockets of color. Actually sky color, so I'm painting in reverse. I'm actually painting in the sky, and the white you see would be the clouds. But I'm just laying the foundation, making it really wispy and airy, and like I say, going in different directions. I'm going to smooth all of that out with a mop brush anyway to get rid of the hard edges, but you'll see that in a few more minutes. I'm going to take some dark blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now what I should have done, or should have explained, is that when you use such a dark blue is an extremely powerful color. So don't use as much of the dark blue, especially if you want some of that light blue to still show. It's an extremely strong color. So just a dab will do you, especially when the canvas is wet. Okay, so that little bit of blue might have been too much. Okay, it's easily overpowering. It'll swallow up some of that light blue. So I'm putting some in various spots, just try to make it a little interesting. So of the color blends for the sky, as you can see, I sprayed some more just to get the paint a little wet, loosen it up a little bit. As you can see, the paint is running, but that's fine. I believe I wiped off my 2-inch brush, and I'll probably lightly mix some of that in together. And then I'm going to use the mop brush, which is a very good blending brush. And I'm going to blend the 2 sky colors together, have them kind of melt into each other. And you can do that while the paint is wet. I'm wiping off the excess paint, and I'm going at it again, because I want to maintain a lot of that light blue. Okay, so I'll be doing that probably a few times, just wiping the brush here and there. I'm not making clouds, I'm just mixing in the blue of the sky. Whatever white that's shown through will be the clouds, but it will become self-evident when I use the mop brush. You'll see a lot of me crossing in front of the camera. Right now I'm explaining the mop brush, which is nothing but a makeup brush I got from Walmart. I got about 3 of them I use personally. Use an extremely light touch. I'm just going in any direction. Usually I go in circles, but what I'm doing is I'm blending in and softening a lot of that dark blue, putting it into the light blue. Alright, and I'm mixing the light blue, spreading that around a little more, still trying to keep pockets of white, so when I build up the white of the clouds, which won't be very difficult at all, they'll look more blended and more natural, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just softening some edges, make the sky a little interesting. So I'll softly blend all of that in. While the paint is wet, you can move it around and manipulate it any way you want. Okay, which is pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just softening the edges, going from left to right, which is fine. Alright. Then I think I'll go horizontal or vertical. Yeah, I'm going vertical, up and down. Get rid of some of these streaks. Okay. And I'll still manipulate it and move it around to wherever I see fit. It's also wise to keep it kind of dark toward the corners. That will give the impression of aerial perspective, where it's darker coming towards you, lighter going in the other direction. Alright. So that's what's going on with that. So as I'm sitting here with this microphone on my head, I had the same microphone in the camera, but I don't think I set the settings to accept an external microphone, and so it did not catch at all. Hopefully I got this thing situated where you don't hear any crackles and pops. I'm explaining to you the two brushes that I've used so far in my little clown way. And as you can see with the automatic focus, it focused in on the brushes. But now I'm explaining to you the interesting pockets of color. Alright, I'm explaining to you how using water with acrylic paint, it streaks until the acrylic spreads out. And it kind of, like I said, it melts into each other. Don't worry about it. The streaks will disappear. Don't try to force it. Alright, just let it happen. It'll blend in all together. You don't need much water at all. And you really don't need that much paint to get the effect that you see on the board. Everybody's will be different. Okay. But as long as you get the technique of how it's done. Alright. So right now while I'm talking, basically that painting has to dry. I may have came back already and painted. Yes, I came back. I didn't do a smooth transition. I've already come back, and now I'm explaining about what I've done with the tape. Okay, so I did come back as a jump cut. I did come back. I painted it black, so the black portion is a little larger than the sky portion, which is in thirds. It's the rule of thirds. Nothing's exactly in the middle of the paper. Okay, composition wise. Now I'm showing you my great big tub of white paint. It's craft paint, not the super expensive stuff that I do have. It's regular craft paint. It's probably the kind of paint you'll be getting for your paint party, which is fine because the painting that you're about to see, I did it all with craft paint. Okay. And so I think I'm explaining the consistency, and I just explained that it's regular craft paint. The microphone you see across my mouth and in the back of my head is the same microphone I'm talking to you in the computer when I'm doing this voiceover. I'm believing I'm going to use the 1-inch brush, I believe. I'm explaining to you and everybody who might be listening that you have your choice of whatever brush you want to use. Now, what I am going to do, I don't think I realized that the camera was too low. I think I did an example. I would do many more, but I don't realize that the camera's not positioned right. So right now you see me doing the process, but you don't see too much but the back of my purple hand, my purple arm. I think now I realize that you guys don't see nothing. Nope. Don't worry. I got an old brain. It'll kick in a minute. Basically what I'm doing is I'm tapping in a cloud shape. Then what you see me doing is called scrumbling. Scrumbling the color into the color that I previously painted. So it will be a smooth transition of color. And you can kind of go rough and put it right in there. There, I finally grew a brain and realized that you guys didn't see much. So of course I'll be going through the whole process again, but it's not anything special. All right, I'm explaining to you about the lights, the direction of the light, and where the light source might be coming from or whatever. So, which really don't matter because as I go through the painting, the sun is like down below everything. So technically, the light source would have been a lot different. But that's all right. But you see what I'm doing? After I tap in the cloud shape, I'm scrambling in the white into the blue and into the perceived white of the canvas. I'll be adding many more clouds than just those two. Okay, and then they'll be mixed in together. Some will flow into each other. But I'm just showing you a technique. One bit of paint on either the left or right side of the brush, you tap in an interesting shape, and you scramble or destroy the bottom edge, make it fade into the blue. Alright. Right now I'm using the tape, which is what I should have done in the first place, but I wasn't thinking. But anyway, I'm using the tape so I can, when I do the clouds close to the horizontal line, it gives me a nice crisp sharp edge, so it does look like a horizon line for either a lake, ocean, or land. Alright, you didn't ask for me to put any mountains in this painting, so I didn't. I'm gonna keep it relatively simple. Everything that you see, the whole process is extremely simple. As you can see, I'm just tapping in color, and then I will scramble away the bottom or side edge, whatever side that I want to maintain the light source. And for right now, until I put the sun in, the light source is coming from the right hand side. Alright. And I'm still going to keep adding in clouds. Once you get the technique of this and you get the strokes down pat, which won't take long, you get it through repetition, then you'll see that you can put clouds anywhere and in any shape that you want. It does not matter. Alright. And going in a circular motion. Now the water loosened up that tape, which is why you see it lifting up. And plus me ripping the tape off the wrong way didn't help. Alright. I think I'm going to make some interesting shapes on the other side and make them kind of run into each other and whatnot. So basically that's what I'm doing. Isn't just tapping in clouds. You tap all the paint off the brush and then you scramble down the rest. And just remember to try to keep a very smooth transition of color between the two colors. Let them seem to melt into each other. And I'll be adding different cloud formations and whatnot. I think I got one more cloud I believe I'm going to add. I already know where it's going to go. It's going to go on the lower left hand side, I believe. Oh, made me a liar. I got two more to do. I know I got one going on the lower left hand side. This one here's in the middle. So yep, it's melding into the other cloud. And all I'm doing basically is just destroying the bottom edge. Okay. Have it fade through some of the white on my brush. I'm taking some of the white from the other part and just expanding the cloud. And like I said, I'm actually using the pale shades that are showing through the blue, and I'm just building right off of that. I mean, you could spend hours just on the clouds doing what I did. You could just keep adding layers and layers and layers. Okay, I thought I was going to do the lower left hand side. I guess not. But anyway, you got a very effective horizon line with the clouds that appear to be even behind the horizon line, which is the effect that you want. And I believe I'm going to use some tape. I'm going to tape up the top half, maybe. And if I don't, that means I'm going to add the grass. So I think I'm gonna take another jump cut here probably, and go right into the grass. Now, as you can see from the lights up above, you can see where it's wet at in the black area where I painted over the tape part. When I took the tape off, it's still shiny. The way you can always tell, especially for acrylic paint, if the paint's dry or not, is the lights will not lie to you. Wet paint will reflect. Acrylic paint, when it's dry, it's flat. It will not reflect any light. Okay, so I believe that's what I'm explaining right now. And plus I'm explaining that I messed up. But that's a good thing, because now I can show you how I correct mess ups, even though I did this one off camera. Okay guys, you might hear a little background from my TV. Alright, I got a feeling it's going to pick it up pretty strong. And if it is, I'll turn it down. Right now I'm applying the tape to maintain a very strong horizon line. It's very important, especially if you're doing a seascape, to maintain an extremely strong horizon line. Alright. Basically that's what I'm doing. If you guys hear any pops and crackles, that's me messing with this microphone to get it closer to my mouth. So, sorry about that. I think I'm looking around to see. I think I'm explaining right now, besides the 3 brushes that I use so far for the painting, which are mainly the 3 brushes I'll use for the entire painting, believe it or not. I'm keeping it very simple, very straightforward, so you can have a painting that doesn't look like a 4-year-old painted it, and you can have a painting using the least amount of brushes. It's not really the amount of brushes you have, it's the techniques that you know to use those brushes. That's the importance of this lesson. Alright, now what I am going to explain is transparent, okay, and opaque paint. Transparent paint is paint that will appear black when put on a black surface, which is the example I'm going to show you in a few seconds there with that black bottom back there. So without getting to the specific names of the paint, any dark blue, dark red, dark green, purple if you get it deep enough, brown if you get it deep enough, and also to some degree yellow ochre maybe, or Indian yellow, which has a little more orange in it. Those are transparent paint, meaning if you put them on a black surface, they will appear black until you put the white in it, and it's got to be wet while it's done. Alright, so with that said, that's what I'm explaining. Titanium white, bright blue, any type of sienna paint, those are what is it called? Opaque, which means it goes straight over black. Black don't hide it. Alright, it goes right over black like it's nothing. Those are opaque colors, which is not really what you need if you're doing the type of ocean painting that I'm about to show you. And so basically that's what I'm explaining. I'm showing you the big bottle of water. I'm going to give it a couple of spritz. That's all that's needed. You don't have to go crazy with it. Alright. And you should see me hit it. There you go. That's about all. And I'm not going all the way down the page with it because it's not needed. I don't need that much going that far down. But you will see the example of transparent paint. I'm using the dark blue. The dark blue should go on the top. And as I put the blue down, you see that I'm putting the blue down. Okay. But once I get done with the streaks and it spreads out, it will appear black, even though it is definitely dark blue. You see, it still looks black. All right. So you can do a lot of interesting effects with this technique of painting. All right. Now I'm going to use. I believe I'm going to use red next. I believe I am. Which, if you mix the blue and the red, it's going to give you a violet, a deep purple. Which, with the black, um, it's going to appear. Um, it'll appear maroon, but it'll happen when you put the white on it. Now, as you see, you can see some of the red, but as I add the strokes and it thins out, it also will appear black. You do see the red, but you don't see it as strong as you would use like a bright pinkish red or whatever. Those won't work because those are opaque colors. Now, the next color I'm going to use, I believe, is a sap green. Sap green is not very transparent. I think the phthalo green is transparent because it has blue in it. Oh no, I'm gonna use the white. Okay, what I'm doing while the paint's wet, I'm gonna use the white paint. Now I'm streaking from left to right and from right to left. I'm keeping the middle black. But as you see, the more I use that white paint, it's starting to turn blue. And as I go into the red, it will start to turn red. Okay, so it's going to turn red. It's going to turn, actually, from top to bottom, it's going to turn blue, then violet, and then red. Okay, so those are the colors. As you can see what's happening there. And I'm just stroking from left to right, right to left, which gives a nice movement to the water. Okay. You can do snow scenes the same way. Instead of using red, you just use a real light blue. You can use a light blue. You can use gray. Everything I'm talking about right now is the technique of it and why it's doing what it's doing. Now I'm taking the bigger brush and I'm just blending it all in, which brings it into the black. It fades it into the black, gives it a gentle fade, softening the edges. The streaks are still there, but they're just muted. They're just not as strong. That's basically what I'm talking about right now. Alright. There's much more you can actually do with this when going from left to right, right to left. I'm explaining right now what I'm going to do with that middle part. The middle part looks like it's going to be the shine of the sun. Okay. And right now I'm just showing you one method of how to do it. You tap. Okay. And you see I'm staggering the taps. I don't have to necessarily go in a straight line. And from the middle, I'm going to the right, middle, go to the left. So I'm going right, left, and it will make an instant sun glare. You can see it instantly. You see that? And you can brighten it as much as you want. And what I'm going to do is that the further down I go on the page, the wider I'm going to get with it. So it will be narrow at the top, but wider toward the bottom. And I'm going to keep working with that theme. Now that makes a little more sense. Now it looks like, nice calm water with this sun glare going across. Now, technically the sun glare will be a little bit on the yellow side. I will add that in a little bit later. Right now I'm swiping everything back and forth. Alright. And you still see that shine in the middle. I'm going to probably do it one more time. A straight line this time. And then I'm going to continue just to brighten it up. I'm lightening the strokes. I'm not adding a lot of pressure. Alright. But there you go. Extremely effective. Not difficult at all to do. Extremely effective. It brings the point across. And what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to add yellow to it, and I'm going to add the sun to it, just using my finger, and I'm going to put the white in, and then probably a little bit later I'm going to put the yellow on top of that white, and I'm going to mix yellow and white together and continue the streaks. Instead of the streaks being that white, I'm going to add the yellow and do the same process. So I might make an example of it right now. Yeah, this is where I believe I'm going to use my finger and put the sunlight in. But of course, there's no sun that's white. So I will put yellow in that, but that comes a little bit later. I'm looking at this. I'm recording this just as I did the video, so everything is pretty much strong in my mind of what's going on and what I'm going to do. So I'm probably getting some paint right now, and I'm going to put it on the on my little canvas, and then add the yellow to it.
So let's take a look at the canvas up here. Now this is a smaller canvas than the original that I'm working from. The original was a 1620, and this is a 1418, I believe. It's relatively smooth. I like smooth canvas.
Since I'm concentrating on the bottom part of the picture, so I removed the camera. So more focus and attention is to the water itself, and I'm explaining the strokes of how when you do water, you got to keep it flat. You don't want your water pouring off the side of the painting, so you just keep it flat. And as you can see, as I get closer, you can see the change of colors. All right, from the blue to the purple, which almost looks black, and then to the red. Yep, this is where I add the spot of white. Now obviously you're not going to see it too well because one, the glare of the lights from above is washing it out, and two, when I look back at the recording, the red dot that lets me know that it's recording was exactly in the spot where the sun is. So I thought that was kind of humorous, but I know what I'm doing, so I really didn't need to look at the monitor. But it was just a coincidence that it would do what it was doing. Right now I'm adding the yellow. I'm getting as close to the horizon line as no, I'm not adding the yellow yet. I'm patting in the white to soften it up a little bit. Of course, like I said, you won't see it because it's been washed out by the light up above. All right. I believe I'm getting some yellow now, or I'm mixing the yellow and white together. Yep, I'm adding the yellow. Now you'll see it. Now you see the yellow. Okay. Yellow obviously is brighter than the white, which is why you see it when juxtaposed on the white. But see, now the camera adjusts, and the brightest thing now on that canvas is not the white, it's the yellow. I'm softening the sun glare a little bit. Alright. Now I'm using the yellow, and I'm going to put the yellow to represent the sun. As you see the little lines there that I'm doing. And from left to right, the same concept. Obviously, I'll be adding a little bit more. The more you rub in, the more subtle the shine. But it's also on top of the white, so it's going to sit there for a bit. Now, I'm able to get away with yellow on top of that blue without it turning green because the blue has dried a bit. Okay. It didn't fully dry, but it dried enough to where it still represents as yellow. You can still see a smattering of it trying to turn green, but it's not necessarily full blown green. It's still yellow. All right. Now that yellow on top of that purple will actually make it turn brown, but it's dry, so um, it doesn't matter, or it's at least tacky. All right. Now I think I'm gonna stop the video. Yep. Now when I come back, as you can see, what I did was I added the yellow and white together, and then I went right back over it, which gives you a nice movable shimmer of water over the ocean, lake, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and I'm just showing you an example going back and forth to smooth it all out, but it still looks shimmery because there's some pockets that are bright and there's some pockets that are not, but it still maintains its fluid movement. You're trying to create three dimensions on a two-dimensional surface or one-dimensional surface, which is the canvas. All right. I was showing you the pattern of the brush because it makes excellent grass. So what I'm going to do is paint the outline. Well, I'm using the white pencil, the little chalk pencil. I'm going to show you the path of how I'm going to do the hill or the grass. It gets a little higher, it dips in the middle, and it goes back up again, but not as high on one side as the other. That's the example that I'm trying to show. Now I'll probably be making that dip a little bit more when I put the actual paint on there. But that's basically what I'm showing you right now. And once I do this, the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. And I'm showing you, actually I'm explaining what mix I'm going to use. Since I don't necessarily have sap green on there, I mixed the colors. I mixed blue and yellow, which makes green. And then if I deepen it, if I want a darker green, because that green I think was too light for me at this stage of the painting, I just want foundation color. I added red to deepen the yellow and blue, and you can see the red there. So I deepened it with a little bit of red just to make it a little darker. But I am tapping in the hill or the land area, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm not necessarily concerned about what's going on down below. It's up top. I want to maintain the texture of the grass. And what I'm doing right now is that I'm just blocking in color, going right over the black. Now that green, when it dries, that black is going to show through, so it gives you little dips and peaks and whatnot. You see how rough I'm painting this? I'm intentionally keeping the strokes and the streaks in there. Some got a little more paint to it, some does not. It all adds to the texture of your grass, because you're not going to totally get rid of all of that black. Intentionally, you're not going to get rid of all the black, because you need some type of depth in your painting, especially when you're coming towards the bottom of the page, which will represent the foreground. If you had a camera and you're taking a look at the lake, that will be the vantage point. Right now, I believe I'm adding a little highlights to the grass. It'll probably be highlights around the left and right side of the hill, or the main highlight will be in the middle where the sun is shining, which will be the brightest spot. But right now I think I'm adding some texture, and I'm showing you the process of how to do it, not going straight on, but using the flat of the brush. So I'm using the flat, and as you can see, look at the natural grass texture that you will achieve from that. And basically that's all I'm showing you right now. Is how to make the grass. You don't stay in one spot. Move it around. Okay. I'm gonna show you how to fade in that bottom a little bit so it appears like you have it's fading into a lower area. And I'm angling the brush in a way to where it represents the top of a hill. Alright. So I'm just highlighting certain areas, especially on the top where the sun may hit it. And I'm adding interesting little pockets of and gaps of color. I'm painting right off the board, right onto the tape. You have to maintain a constant flow to your painting. Just because the tape starts, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where you stop painting. You paint right straight through it. Now here's where the highlights are coming in. It's a little extra paint on the brush and a light touch. So you're painting on top of already wet paint. But you can see where I'm adding the brightness in the middle of the painting. Now I'll add some peaks of color to where the sun might hit it over the mounds on the hill. So I'm just adding texture. I'm just trying to show you where the light would set in the painting. Alright. I dipped into more white, and then I used the green and a little more highlights, stronger highlights. So it's just more white in the center to make it stand out. And I'm adding subtle highlights here and there to the top of the hill. Not too much because I don't want to detract from the middle. In the middle is where I want your eye to be. I'm not really one for wiping off my brush a lot, especially if I'm going darker. Now, if you're going from dark to light, it would be wise for you to clean your brush. But if you're getting a darker color, it's alright. Keep the brush dirty, it's fine. And I believe I will be adding blue to the green, or just use straight blue, and might put a little bit of red in it just to deepen the color, because the grass is coming toward us. So I'm probably explaining that with my back turned towards you. Yeah, I'm explaining it right now. I'm taking a deeper color. Yeah, it looks like blue, just dark blue, with whatever's on the brush. But I'm making it a little darker. I'm going to get it darker than that because I don't think it's blue enough. And it's going to get all of a sudden a wee bit red, which would turn it violet. But if I'm using it with the green, alright, it just turns it to a deeper olive kind of green. But that type of blue that I'm using is a craft paint blue, so it's not extremely dark like the blue I would use in my tubes or in my heavy body paint. So that's what's going on with this, and I'll be adding a little red in there to deepen that. Once again, you have to kind of think of linear perspective. Linear perspective, stuff gets larger and sharper as it's close to you, and it gets a little faded and lighter in color as it moves away from you. Alright, so I believe I'm probably getting the red paint out because I didn't have it out. So I'm getting the red paint, putting it on my little canvas palette, and I'm going to use that same brush, didn't rinse out the colors, and I'm going to tap it right in there. I believe that's what's coming next. Yep, I did. You see how it's getting darker? See that? And I'm tapping that darker color up into the color I previously put down. And I'll be as I keep going with that color, it's going to get darker and darker. And so I am building up the darkness in layers. There we go. That's the red. I'm deepening the color. It's going to get deeper as I go toward the bottom, which is what I'm explaining. So I'm going down there by the tape. And the more you blend in, the more you tap like that, the softer those streaks will become. Okay. So I believe I'm going to darken that up probably a little bit more toward the very bottom. Get it as dark as possible. And it's going to be darker still when I put the I'm just adding some highlights, just a little highlights where like I say, where I feel the sun would catch. I won't have to add them evenly. I don't have to add them equal on each side either. And so that's what I'm doing. Cleaning out the brush probably. Yep. Wiping off the brush. I've got a feeling I'm going to do the trees. The trees are relatively quite simple. This is a different method of pine trees that I'm going to do using the flat painter brushes. These trees will be pretty. Oh nope, it's the splatter technique. I jumped ahead. I'm just mixing the color. I'm mixing violet, as a matter of fact. The violet should have been a little bit lighter, and I think I'm gonna add more white to that violet. I can see it. You can't see it, but it is there, and it is standing out. But the camera's not gonna pick it up because it's not light enough. But the deep violet is in there, and you can see it. It looks like little field flowers or something to that effect. So I'm adding actually titanium white because I'm too lazy to get the jar of regular white and put it on there. So I'm using the titanium white. I'm putting it in there with the magenta color or the lavender color. And lavender, just to mix lavender, is just equal amounts of blue and red. Add white to it, and the more white you add, the lighter and the more pastel it becomes, the brighter it becomes, just like that. Now you can see it's not white, it is lavender. I just added more white paint to it. That's all. I'm going up above. What I'm also explaining when doing the splatter technique, the closer you are to your board, the more you're able to control the splatter. The further away from the board, the bigger the splatters, but also the most haphazard, because it has a tendency to go not only on your shoes, but go on the top of your painting, which is not what you want your splatter to go. I believe I'm going to dig into another color, probably just straight yellow, just to add some brightness and some liveliness to the painting. I'm going to add yellow, put it in with the water. And if it's too much yellow, you can always use the edge of whatever you're using to store your paint, and you just wipe it away so it thins down a little bit. Because remember, this technique works with extremely loose paint, so you have to put water in it, loosen up the paint. So when you use your finger or whatever instrument that you want to use to flick the paint, it flicks off pretty smoothly. You don't want it too runny to where your flowers start running down the field. Okay. So yep, I am about to use a yellow and white mix. Water it down. Then I'm going to use the edge of my lid or whatever I used to get some of that excess moisture off the brush, because you don't want, like I said, the splatters to run downward. I'm painting vertically. So obviously if I put too much on like that, I'm taking some off right now. Now, see, now that's more controllable, and you'll see it. There it goes. They stick right out there. And basically that's it. That's what I'm doing. Adding the splatter. Adding to the top, in the mids, and in the bottom. So it's got lavender and yellow. And you can really see the transition of dark to light in the grass, because the paint started to set. And when the acrylic paint sets, it sets dark, a flat color. So it sets darker than when you put it on. Unlike watercolor, which uses the white of the paper, when watercolor dries, it dries lighter than when you put it on. Watercolor goes on dark, dries light. Acrylic paint goes on shiny, dries flat. So it goes on light, dries dark. Even if you use a different lighter color. When you add white to a color, you're adding a tint. When you add black to a color, you're adding a shade, which makes sense. All right. But if you add darkness to any light color, it doesn't necessarily have to be black. You're still adding a shade. A shade is shadow, right? So that would be the technical term for it. I'm believing I'm mixing a lot of red and blue together to get me a nice deep dark maroon. Now in this painting, that maroon will appear black. Though it's not black, it's a very soft dark color, but it's not necessarily black. If I use black, it's an incredibly stark, flat color, and it's extremely noticeable, which is why I, for myself personally, do not use a lot of black in my paintings, unless I absolutely necessarily have to. But right now, I'm just showing you the process of the type of tree that I'm doing. I call it a willy tree, named after the instructor that showed this method. I'm going to reduce the image size a little bit. I'm gonna pull back so you can see the whole process of that tree. Now that tree is actually the larger tree. The other tree may appear taller because it's further back in the field there and closer to the water, and it's on a hill, so it will appear larger. But I'm just showing you by tapping and moving my wrist left to right, I'm making a very interesting shaped pine tree. The pine tree has a lot of holes and gaps in it where you can see the background, you can see the clouds, and a bird can actually fly through that tree. You don't want your trees that come out looking like upside down popsicle cones. All right. You want, whoops, sorry about that. You want the unevenness. All right. It's called structured chaos. And that's just what that tree looks like. It looks like a pine tree. It does have the triangle shape, but you can see the imperfections. You can see the leaves going in any direction at once, but it's still recognizable as a pine tree. Okay, I'm adjusting the camera because I'm looking at the monitor. I'm adjusting the camera so it looks okay, and you guys can catch everything. Basically, if I was doing it for myself, I wouldn't add the middle, but I'm doing it for you guys so you guys can see. But as you can see, I'm just angling it. I'm flipping the brush around because there's more paint there. And if the brush looks like it's going in the same direction, then you just turn the brush around, or you just tap it back on the pad to get that irregular shape. All right, but I am making it happen with it. Now that tree in the back, even though it's higher, it's actually a smaller tree. Remember, it's on top of that little mound up there. All right. Now I'm going to show you something very clever. I need you to look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to add shadow to that tree because of the sunlight. I'm showing you the sunlight is backlit. So the shadow will be large from the bottom of the tree going back. All right. And it's going to get large as it gets closer to the viewer. So the further down the bottom I go, the wider I'm going to make that shadow. When I put them both in, it will all make sense. You'll see the atmosphere. You see the linear perspective. And even though I'm adding that darkness to it, you can still see the grass and all that happening down below that, believe it or not. But adding those dark trees with the shadow brings out the middle shine on the grass even more. All right, you can see it immediately. And remember, this is not but a series of taps, which is the main technique I'm using for this style of painting. A series of taps, moving your wrist from left and right, which will give you that familiar pine tree shape, but from a more natural shape. What I'm explaining right now for the highlights, you can either use the big brush or the smaller 1-inch brush. And those of you who are new to painting will more apt to be at ease with the smaller brush, which is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm mixing yellow and white together. I'm probably going to mix a little green in there, but usually it's mostly, yeah, I did. So I mixed blue, white, and yellow together. A lot of paint on the bristles of that brush because you're going to use an extremely light touch. So it's a lot of paint and a light touch. And watch what happens. I'm just showing you where the highlights would be in position of the trees and where the sun is. When it goes for highlights, you almost highlight past the tree. Don't lose all of your darks. You can also bring some of that highlight toward the other side of the tree also. Since the sun is in the center, which composition wise is not really a good place to put the sun, but it is what it is. I am maintaining the shine of the sun through the branches of the trees. And well, there you go. There you have it. I'm going to do some refracted light. Alright, refracted light or background light will be on the shadow area of the tree, which will be for all intents and purposes, a bluey, greenish type of thing. Not overly radioactive where it shines like the shine on the lit side of the tree. Because once again, I do not want to get rid of all of the dark foundation. I'm bringing some of that dark right into the light side of the tree. Adds to its roundness and whatnot. And plus leaving that part dark the way it is, and you got the two opposing colors to each other, it rounds out the tree without even you thinking about it, without even trying. Alright, but basically that's what I'm doing. And there you go. The activity in the painting, you can't deny. Movement of the water, the activity of the two pine trees. Okay. And the texture in the grass, you get the pockets of black, so it's like a deep gully or whatnot. I'd be careful stepping in that area because you're definitely going to break an ankle. And this paint is not even fully exposed. It's still pulled zoomed in a little bit. And basically that's what I'm explaining more or less.
And the next one, let's make that one very, very light. I'm going to just kind of mix the turquoise and
Okay, I'm using the script ladder. I believe I'm going to put some birds in there. Of course, I'm using the light blue, the light sky blue, going into the white of the clouds so you can actually see the bird. Now, with it being that light, that will represent that the seagull, the bird, is further away. Alright. I'm just showing you where he is. There he is. As you can see, the bird is the same color as the sky, which would represent that the bird is quite a few hundreds of feet away still. I'm moving the camera. I'm going to put another light blue bird in another cloud patch. Right now I'm looking at the monitor to see where I'm at. And there you go. Now I'm going to take some of the deeper dark color. And I'm going to add maybe 2 more birds, I believe. So I'm actually explaining how to do that. And I'm explaining why the light color. So I'm using the dark color, larger bird. Put a little body on them there.
Oh, great, great.
Don't have to be extremely detailed. They're still a ways away. And instead of making that a seagull, I think I'm going to put another one in there. I think this one might be more or less to the side. I'm trying to adjust my hand so I can see it in the monitor. But this guy is closer. They're both closer. There you go. They're both a little closer. They're a little bigger. And instead of making them seagulls, I'm going to use some white paint. Plop a dot right dead in the center, and you got instant bald eagle. Very cheap, effective way to put wildlife in your painting. And plop, there you go. Instant bald eagle, guys. And we're going to give him a sister or a brother or two sisters. That's all I need. I will pull back from the painting and you'll see the effect it has. Very simple, extremely simple. I do believe that's the only time I use the highlighter besides doing my signature. This painting's probably about finished now. And I think it's probably me running my mouth about how simple the painting was. And it is a simple painting. It may not look like a simple painting, but believe me, the same taps I've done for the trees, I did for the grass. The same strokes I did for the water, I did for the highlight on the water. The clouds were a series of taps, rounded but taps, and then I just scrumbled in the rest to blend into the sky, and that's all. And I believe I'll be taking the tape off of this soon while I'm running my mouth explaining things. And I do believe what I'm going to do is show you the brushes. I'm going to hold them in my hand, I believe, and show you that I made this whole painting with primarily 3 brushes and 1 script liner and water. But as you can see, it keeps a pretty tight border. Alright. And there you have it. Anybody would probably be proud to own a painting like that. Or at least make a painting like that. Very straightforward, very basic. A tree on each side, which is another thing composition wise I wouldn't normally do, but this would be for all of you newbies, so it will be accepted. If I'm going to do another painting like that, I would probably put both trees on one side of the paper, and the sun or moon will be a little more to the left or right. I would never really put it dead center like that. But I believe that this is an example that you can show your friends and family. It's one that's easily duplicatable. I did not use very many colors. All you got to do is go back to the beginning of the video. You can see what colors I used. And then that's it. And I did it all with craft paint. Alright, none of the expensive stuff. So it's about we're about to fade out in this thing. But I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank my daughter for entrusting me to do this for her. I hope all of you ladies have a good time in doing the painting. I can't wait to see your renditions of the painting. Please take the picture, Tot. I want to see it. Alright, don't play me. I want to see the paintings, all of them. And I want to see pictures of you guys doing the painting and whatnot on her little paint party. So, can't wait to see it. Thank you guys. Good luck with your painting. And hope to do this again. Bye-bye.